Jesus' words about divorce seem a bit insensitive at first, but let's look at it by way of sports. I attended a power skating camp one summer and was appalled at first that us tough hockey players were being instructed by a petite woman figure skater wearing leggings. After she humbled us by outskating every player, we were ready to go back to the basics and learn to skate correctly. Jesus is using the same technique. All of us have been humbled by divorce and have felt its effects. Now it's time for us to return to the basics, or the original calling of marriage, because marriage is the most frequently used analogy in the Bible for how God relates to us. The Bible begins with the marriage of Adam and Eve. The prophets predict that God has come to marry us. The middle of the Bible is full of erotic love poetry in the Song of Songs. Jesus begins his ministry at a wedding, calls himself the bridegroom. St. Paul said that our marriages are meant to reflect the marriage of Christ and his church. And the Bible ends with the marriage of heaven and earth. The great translator of the Bible, St. Jerome, humorously said, "Marriage is good for those who are afraid to sleep alone at night." Now, I'm sure this is true on some practical level, but we are more concerned with why St. Jerome is theologically correct. Marriage is proof that God does not want us to be alone, for he is not alone. God is mysteriously three persons, yet one God. Thus St. John said, God is love. Since we are made in his image and likeness, to be alone would not reflect the fullness of God. Thus, wedding vows are not only a pledge to explore the depths of each other's souls, but also to explore love's origin, God himself. We begin with the marriage of Adam and Eve. The book of Genesis is often criticized for not being scientifically accurate or a factual newspaper report, but that would be boring, not romantic. Genesis is a love letter, reminding us that we are entering into a reality greater than ourselves. God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make a suitable partner for him." God doesn't want us to spend our life in solitude, because he is not in solitude. So God decided to make someone Adam could love and relate to. First, God created animals and brought them to Adam to name. In naming the animals, Adam realized he was different and superior to them, so he felt alone. Adam cannot relate to the animals intellectually, emotionally, nor spiritually. The great philosopher Aristotle said that a friend must be a second self. In other words, we can only truly share our life with an equal. We see within the life and the love of God, all three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, are equal. Thus Adam needed an equal, a reflection of himself to love. So God put Adam into a deep sleep, and from his rib, again symbolizing her equality, he created the first woman, Eve. Call to mind this rib that created Eve whenever you gaze upon our crucified Lord, whose side was pierced with a lance, and outflowed blood and water, symbolic of baptism and Eucharist, the two sacraments that wed us to our perfect spouse, Jesus. Now imagine the joy and the gratitude on Adam's face when he awoke to the sight of his bride Eve, probably similar to a groom, anxiously waiting on the sanctuary steps for his lovely bride to walk down the aisle and join him in marriage forever. Adam exclaimed, "This one at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." Adam fell in love with the mystery of another soul, equal to his, and longed to give himself to her in love. This moment also explains God's reaction to the creation of each of us. For the book of Revelation said that God waits for us to join him in heaven, like a groom waiting for his bride. God also gave the charge to Adam and Eve to be fertile and multiply. Hence, the fundamental purpose of marriage is not exclusively about two persons' love for each other, but rather a love that is creative and grows. Think back to the love found in the Trinity. St. Augustine referred to the Father as the lover, the Son as the beloved, and the Holy Spirit as a product of the love shared between them. Hence, the husband is the lover, the wife is the beloved, and God willing, the visible product of their love is a child. When God said, "Let us," in the plural, "make man in our image," he didn't stop with Adam, nor at the first couple, but God's image was reflected on the earth when the first family was created. Every family is meant to be a little trinity, a lived sacramental sign of God's love in the world. This benefits not just the world, but children gain their first knowledge of God as a communion of three persons in love, from what they experience in their own family. With that in mind, can we see why Jesus said that we were not meant to experience the pains of divorce? Divorce not only scars our hearts, but how often have we seen children suffer from being shuffled from one parent to the next? This creates a hurdle to understanding God from experience. Obviously, no one approaches their wedding day with divorce on their mind. The pain of a past divorce can be healed by the divine physician, and we can begin again. Your current or future marriage should be taken with all seriousness, for you are called to reflect the internal life of God, and this is lived evangelization. And remember, said Pope Francis, the perfect family does not exist, nor does the perfect husband, nor the perfect wife. We are sinners. Therefore, never let a day go by without asking forgiveness, or without restoring peace in your home. If we learn to apologize and forgive each other, the marriage will last.